Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Boy Nick here, back again with a brand new video today. So if you guys have been paying attention to my channel for the last few months, you guys know that I've been reviewing every single Marvel Cinematic Universe film that I did up to the release of the new movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And today we're going to be doing a tier list where I rank every single movie that I've reviewed thus far. So some of you guys may notice I don't have any of the Disney Plus series in this thing or any of the Disney Plus specials. The reason why is because I haven't really reviewed those yet, and I decided I'm only going to rank things that I reviewed. I did review the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special when that came out, but I'm not ranking that as it's not a movie. But I do plan to do updated tier lists in the future, and so what I'm thinking is I think that once I do review the Disney Plus stuff, which I plan to do around the time Secret Invasion comes out, I'm thinking that I'm going to take this tier list right here and just rank those among these. So I think that's a plan that I might stick to. And also another thing is that you guys may notice I don't have any MCU multiverse movies here, so like Spider-Man or Venom or any of that stuff. And I will review those closer to the time that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse comes out. And I think that I'll probably do another one of those updated tier lists, so I rank those among these two, as I think that makes more sense as opposed to ranking everything separately. So I think that's the plan we're going to stick towards. Some of you guys may notice that I have every single thing here done in release order. So even though I technically reviewed Wakanda Forever first, I'm going to rank these all based on when they came out, as I feel like that makes more sense. If you guys are wondering if I'm going to do these whenever more stuff comes out, I said I'll do the Spider-Verse and Disney Plus stuff. However, I'm not entirely sure if I'll do another one of these. I might do another one of these at the end of this year, depending on how much content we get. If not, I might have to wait until the end of Phase 5, the end of some certain kind of era to rank all them, as I feel like it makes more sense as opposed to just, let's make an update with one thing on it, you know? So I feel like I just want to get that out of the way real quick. As some of you guys probably know, this entire thing is going to be my opinion, so the criteria for this is that S tier is top tier MCU movies in my opinion. So these are movies that I love, ones that I watch the most or think about the most. This is going to be ones that I either love them or I really like them, and so these are ones that I think are like very, very good, but not necessarily top tier. This one is kind of going to be the middle of the road, so ones I do still very much like, but I don't think are top tier. This one's kind of be like, it's okay category, it's passable, it's fine, it's just, it's not as good as some other ones. And this one is going to be not for me. Not for me doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, it just means it doesn't fit my cup of tea, if you know what I mean. And if you guys are wondering as to why I have certain things in certain spots, I suggest you guys go and watch any of my reviews for any of my movies so you guys understand why I feel about them the way I do. And just remember that this is all 100% my opinion. I know that I'm going to have some people who do not agree with the things on this list. I think literally everyone's opinion on this is going to be different. So remember, this is all just my opinion. If you guys disagree with my opinion, that's perfectly fine. Just don't get toxic about it down in the comments. Something else I want to make clear is that I actually made this list myself, as I wanted to do it on my own terms. And I'll leave a link to this in the description if you guys want to rank them yourself. Okay, so now that we've gotten the criteria out of the way, I think we can start with this. Okay, so first up, we have the first Iron Man movie, and I think I'm going to put this in the S tier. The first Iron Man movie is a great superhero movie. It's one of the best origin stories that the MCU has had thus far. I think it's still one of the most impressive films Marvel's made, even though it's the first one. And the only real flaw I've had with this, as I mentioned in my review, is that I don't feel like we get to spend enough time with Ironmonger, played by Jeff Bridges, but it's redeemed by the performance, and I think that Iron Man is still an excellent superhero movie, and so I think S tier is the right spot for that. Next up, we have The Incredible Hulk, and I think I'm going to put The Incredible Hulk in the B tier. I do really like The Incredible Hulk movie. If you guys know, I gave this movie a B whenever I reviewed it, and I think I still stand by that. The Incredible Hulk's a very good movie. It's just that in comparison to the first Iron Man movie, it's kind of disappointing, but overall it's still a very good superhero origin story movie. It's just not top tier for me. My flaws with it aren't necessarily anything too big, but it's just not good enough for me to put it within top tier or almost top tier. So I think the more so I like it category fits The Incredible Hulk. Iron Man 2 I'm also going to put in the B category. I gave this one actually the same rating and grade as I gave The Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2 is one that's very good in my opinion. This is actually the first MCU movie I ever saw. I went and I saw this in theaters, and I actually never saw these two until lockdown happened, which is wild. But Iron Man 2 is my first MCU movie, and upon rewatching it, it's not a great movie, but I do think it is pretty good. The reason it's not great is because there's so much stuff going on. It's very convoluted, and you know, like, there's a lot of stuff to enjoy. It's got great performances all around. It has an excellent recasting in Don Cheadle, and has a great introduction to Black Widow. We got a lot of really good stuff, but the villains are very forgettable, and it's convoluted and has way too much stuff going on. So I think B tier is fine for Iron Man 2. Next we have Thor, and I'm going to put Thor in the A tier. I love the first Thor movie. It's one of my favorite origin stories that we've had from Marvel. That being said, though, I'm not exactly going to put it top tier because there's a few things about it I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of. but I still really enjoy it nonetheless. And this one holds a soft spot in my heart because although this was the second MCU movie I ever saw, this was kind of the one that made me really want to get into superhero movies. And so as superhero movies kept coming out, this was the one that really inspired me to keep watching them. So I'm going to put Thor in A tier. I think that's a good spot for it. And this is probably going to be a hot take and might be the most controversial take of the whole video, but I'm going to put Captain America the First Avenger in an S tier. I know for a lot of people this may not be an S tier, but Captain America is personally my favorite superhero of all time, and I love the origin story for it, and my flaws with it are so small, it doesn't take away from my enjoyment of it at all too much. And so I think that the S tier, at least for me, this is all my personal taste, is where I'm going to place Captain America the First Avenger. And something else I probably should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you guys see certain things below spots in these certain tiers, that doesn't necessarily mean that one's better or worse. These spots are likely tentative, so I think that near the end of the video, I'm going to change all these around. And we finally arrive at The Avengers, which is the final film in Phase 1, and no doubt for me, this gets S tier. And so far, this is actually my favorite one of everything we've ranked so far. I think The Avengers is without doubt the best movie in Phase 1. They built towards it so well, so even though the movies before him weren't perfect, we got the pretty perfect results of it, and so for that reason, I'm going to put it in S tier. Now, Iron Man 3 is an interesting one for me. If you guys saw my review, you guys know that I'm not a big fan of Iron Man 3 because of the Mandarin plot twist and because things I thought could have been executed way better. That being said, though, it is still a pretty good movie, so I think I'm going to put it in B tier. I was thinking about putting it in C tier, but I decided, nah, B tier is a little bit good because I do enjoy Iron Man 3. It's just kind of frustrating for me. And you guys might notice I have it ranked below Iron Man 2. I will say I think objectively, Iron Man 3 is a better movie. But in terms of enjoyment, I like Iron Man 2 just a little bit more than Iron Man 3. But if we're talking objectively, no, Iron Man 3 is structured better than Iron Man 2. However, this is all personal tastes, and so that's why I have Iron Man 3 ranked here. And just so you guys know, quality and stuff does matter to me. However, this is all more so about personal taste, at least for my list. And so some of you guys may notice I have something that I gave a higher grade to or a higher rating to below something. This is that thing where grades and ratings don't matter all like 100% of the time. This is more about how I feel. Now, Thor: The Dark World, upon rewatching everything, I thought this when I initially thought about this, and it still remains true. This is my least favorite MCU movie. Not a bad movie, but very disappointing compared to the first Thor, and I'm going to put it in C tier. And so, as you guys can guess, nothing is going to go in not for me tier because, at least for me, none of these movies on this criteria are movies that I dislike. Because I still get enjoyment from Thor: The Dark World. It's just my least favorite. I mean, I gave it a B-, and if a B- is like the lowest rated thing in your entire franchise, and I feel like that means your franchise is doing pretty good. But yeah, Thor: The Dark World is not a great movie. It's fun when I watch it, but it drags a bit. And whenever I think about it, when thinking about the MCU, I don't think about it all too much. So I think C tier is fine for Thor: The Dark World. Now, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, without a doubt for me, is an S tier. And I know that many of you agree with that. I think it's one of the best sequels ever made. I adored this movie. It took everything I loved about the first Captain America and just sent it to the next level. And man, there's so much good stuff about this movie. We have the stuff that's going on with Bucky. We got all this stuff going on, and man, like it was really great to see what this movie was able to pull off. And I thought this is the Russo brothers' first MCU movie, and the Russo brothers just killed it with Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And I love this one. Without a doubt, gets the top of this thing right here. It's excellent spy thriller, excellent Captain America movie. S tier for Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is another S tier. This is an excellent movie. This is one that I remember people being very skeptical of, and I remember thinking to myself, it'll probably be good because Marvel did an excellent job with a lot of the stuff beforehand. And surely enough, I was right. And my only real flaw with Guardians of the Galaxy is that Ronan isn't that great of a villain. But aside from that, I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think S tier is a great spot for that. Now, this is one where I feel like I'm going to divide a lot of people. I'm going to put Avengers Age of Ultron in the A tier. So this is, in my opinion, the weakest of all the Avengers movies. Not a bad movie at all. I really enjoy it, but it's a bit clunky, and there's some things I thought could have been ironed out a lot more. That being said, though, it is an Avengers movie, so it is very enjoyable, without a doubt. And I know this is probably going to cause some division, because I know there's some people who love Age of Ultron and put it in top tier, and there's some people who don't really care for it and might put it in the middle or bottom tier. But I think that below top tier for me is a good spot for it, because it is a bit messy, but it's enjoyable nonetheless. So I'm going to put Age of Ultron in A tier. I think Ant-Man is also going to go into the A tier. Very fun, easygoing superhero origin story movie. I thought it was a great way to cap off Phase 2. Great introduction to the character. The only reason I don't have it in S tier is because I kind of felt like Darren Cross needed more time as a villain. I mean, the stuff that we see with him when he becomes Yellow Jacket's awesome. However, I really felt like we needed to spend more time with him, and that was kind of just that was my biggest overall flaw with Ant-Man. That being said, though, I still do really enjoy the movie, so I think A tier is a good spot for that. Okay, so now we're going into Phase 3. Now, Phase 3, we got a lot of stuff to cover, and this is interesting because this is like the thing where they had the most content of any of the phases, but they were also critically acclaimed. And I think Phase 3 is probably my favorite phase, so I feel like you're probably going to see my bias for Phase 3 here. But starting off with Captain America Civil War, which I'm going to put in S tier. I don't think that needs much debate. Captain America Civil War is one of the best superhero movies of all time. That's an opinion held by several people, including myself. And this is my favorite of the Captain America movies, which is good because it's my favorite superhero. But this is also just one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of the most rewatched MCU movies. I mean, it's well made, it's got a great plot, and it balances having all these characters so incredibly well. The Russo brothers could not have done a better job with this movie, in my opinion. I adore Captain America Civil War. S tier for that movie. I think this next one's also going to be a little bit divisive, which is the first Doctor Strange movie. I'm putting this movie in S tier. I know for a lot of people that may not be their opinion. They might put it in one of the lower tiers like A or B. I love the first Doctor Strange movie. This is one that when I first saw it, my mind was blown. And this was actually my favorite MCU movie at the time. I thought this was the best thing Marvel had ever put out. And in hindsight, I think this is still one of the best things Marvel's ever put out. However, I don't enjoy it as much now as I did back then, but I still really, really love the first Doctor Strange movie. It holds a special place in my heart. And I don't think it gets enough credit for how well made it is. It's very, very well made. Like, there's only a few flaws with it, really, in my eyes. And I think this is one of the best Marvel movies. I think that there's definitely some that have surpassed it since it came out. But I adore Doctor Strange. I'm putting it in S tier. And that's my opinion. And if you don't agree with that, that's perfectly fine. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is an interesting one. I think I'm also going to put this in A tier because I do like it more than these movies, but I don't like it as much as everything else ranked here. I gave this one a B+, and I've given only a B+ to one other movie, which I'll talk about later. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is very good. I like it as a sequel. It's a lot of fun. You could argue that it's funnier than the first one. However, my main thing with Guardians Volume 2 is I kind of feel like it's very tonally inconsistent. That was like my main issue in rewatching it. I still get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I remember the theater being packed and dying of laughter when I went and saw this on opening night. And I do love this movie, but it's got some issues. But, you know, it's still good enough to put it in A tier. And I think I'll always have a special place for Guardians 2. Now, this next one is interesting. So, Spider-Man Homecoming, I remember this is actually the one that I had the least expectations for whenever it was announced because I loved the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and I was sad when we didn't get to see him again. And then I liked what they did with Andrew Garfield, and I was upset whenever they didn't continue his thing. And so whenever I saw that they were going to make another Spider-Man with Tom Holland, I was very skeptical. And I also wasn't sure that Tom Holland was going to do a good job. I mean, he did capture the youth of Spider-Man incredibly well, which is something that I've constantly given him praise for. But I remember I was not used to Spider-Man being like a freshman. I was used to him being like a junior or a senior. So I remember I did not have any high expectations for this movie at all. My expectations for this movie were very low. But I still went and saw it because you can't know until you see it. And this is one of my most rewatched MCU movies. I love Spider-Man Homecoming, and I'm going to put it in S tier. This is where you're going to see my bias for being a Marvel fan and stuff. I mean, I actually think that Tom Holland's better than Andrew Garfield. And I'll talk more about Andrew Garfield in the future, but I don't know, man. But Spider-Man Homecoming, it's got great performances all around. It has an excellent villain in the Vulture. There's a few things about it that I would have liked a little bit differently. But I love this movie. It reminded me of why I love Spider-Man in the first place, and I think it's mostly well done, so I'm going to put it in S tier. And Thor Ragnarok is one of my favorite Marvel movies. This is another one of my most rewatched ones, and I'm going to put this one in S tier. And this one is actually, to my day, still my favorite Thor movie, and I think that's the one that's an opinion held by many people. Taika Waititi absolutely smashed it with this movie. I mean, it's got a great concept. It's well executed. It looks incredible. It's got an excellent villain in Hela. And what I liked about this movie is that they actually kind of made Thor a lot more, they actually took some more risks with him while also keeping that Thor charm there, which I thought was really awesome. So I think that this is a great spot for Thor Ragnarok. Black Panther, I think, is going to be another S tier. I know it seems weird that I keep throwing movies into the S tier, but this is where you really see my bias for Phase 3. Black Panther was a great movie. I remember being really excited for this when it came out, as I really liked what they did with Chadwick in the Civil War. And sorry, I hit my mic. And I also remember Black Panther for some of the cartoons I used to watch. So whenever I heard they were making a Black Panther movie, I was really excited for it, and it lived up to the hype. There's some things about it I would have ironed out a little bit more. I mean, Killmonger is an awesome villain. He's absolutely one of the best. However, we see him a little bit near the beginning, and then we don't see him for like the whole other half of the movie, and then we don't see him again until like the second half. And I kind of would have liked to have we seen him just slightly more. However, aside from that, very well executed movie, very important movie, and I think Black Panther is a great film, and I'm going to give it an S tier. Also, something else I should probably mention about Black Panther: this is the only MCU movie to get nominated for an Oscar, or to get nominated for Best Picture. And I think there's some of these other movies are slightly better, but from how well made it is, I can see why. I just wish that the Oscars would also nominate other MCU movies. But yeah, Black Panther's S tier. Avengers Infinity War is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm putting that in S tier. I don't think there's a lot of debate with that. Avengers Infinity War is an excellent movie. It's one of the best super movies of all time. It was everything that we wanted, but on risky terms because it was gritty. This is a movie where the heroes didn't win, and it was also one where we got to see all our favorite characters, but they were separate. And like as much as messy as that seems, it's actually very well paced and very well balanced and flowed. The Russos directed this one again after directing Winter Soldier and Civil War. And man, I thought they did an excellent job with this one, and still one of my favorites to this day. Infinity War without a doubt gets S tier in my opinion. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm going to put this one in A tier. That's going to be another unpopular opinion. Now, I said in my review, I've always had a thing for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I've always loved it. This holds a special place in my heart. It's a very fun, easygoing movie. I know for some people they think it's just fine because Wasp kind of took the front seat in this one, and Ant-Man took somewhat of a back seat. And you could argue that the story isn't as cohesive as the first one, but I really love Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I actually like it slightly more than the first one because I like the villain in this one a lot more. And this was just a very easygoing for me. I love this movie, and I'm not going to apologize for that. So I think A tier is a good spot for that. Captain Marvel's an interesting one. This is a very controversial movie. I know there's some people who have this as a bottom tier movie. And for me, Captain Marvel is one that I really liked it when it came out, and I still like it now. However, in retrospect, I kind of wish they gave Captain Marvel more to do. And it has nothing to do with Brie Larson. I actually like Brie Larson quite a bit in this role. I thought they even capitalized her more in Avengers Endgame. I kind of just wish we would have gotten to see more with her. However, I am hopeful that the Marvels sequel coming out at the end of this year will give her more to do, as I do think Brie Larson is actually very good in the role. And I think Captain Marvel's a cool character. I feel like she needs a second shot so people really get what Marvel's trying to go with for her. And I feel like she just needs a second chance so that she can get into everyone's good graces, And so I think Captain Marvel is going to go in the B tier. I gave it a B when I reviewed it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I still stand by that. It's very good in my opinion. It's just not great. So I'll put it in B tier. And then Avengers Endgame is my favorite movie in the MCU, and that's going to get an S tier, no question. I mean, it's a phenomenal movie. It's, in my opinion, the best thing Marvel's ever made, and it's, for me, my favorite superhero movie of all time. This was the thing that Infinity War, this is what we hoped Infinity War would be. We'd hope that we would see the Avengers win, and we hoped that, that we would see all of our people together. We finally got all of our people back together in this one. They actually took some risks, which are very well executed, and we got the big final climactic battle of 11 years worth of movies, and holy crap did it pay off. Avengers Endgame is one of my all-time favorite films. No question goes in the S tier. This might be another one that's going to be controversial, but I'm going to put Spider-Man Far From Home in the S tier. I like this one more than Homecoming, and this is the one that truly solidified my love for Tom Holland in this role. In my opinion, his performance in this film is phenomenal. As the Spider-Man series has gone on, I felt like Tom Holland progressively gets better with every single movie he's in where he plays Spider-Man. And this one, I thought it really, really emphasized how incredible of an actor Tom Holland is as Spider-Man. And Jake Gyllenhaal is an excellent villain in Mysterio. I do like Vulture a little bit more as a villain, but Mysterio is still an awesome villain, and we get some cool stuff with Maria Hill and Nick Fury. Amazing visuals. A great story. And I feel like this is, in all honesty, an underrated Spider-Man movie, because I know there's some people who have this in like the bottom half of their Spider-Man ranking. I've never understood that. I've always loved Far From Home, and I'm going to put it in S tier. Now, Black Widow is an interesting one for me. This is one that when I reviewed it recently. Oh yeah, by the way, we're starting off Phase 4 now. So Phase 3, we're done ranking. I said that I enjoyed it when I first saw it, and I do still really enjoy it now, but not as much as I did when I first saw it. And I think my reasons for that was this is the first MCU movie that we had gotten in 2 years at that point. And so I was just so excited we got some new Marvel stuff, and it lived up to my expectations back then. Now, I think it's a good spy thriller movie, and I do think that. However, I don't think it's necessarily the best Black Widow movie, but we still get some good stuff in it. We get some great action sequences, aside from some questionable CGI. We get some funny stuff with Red Guardian. We get a great introduction to Florence Pugh as Yelena, who's, in my opinion, the best part of the movie. And this was the other one that I gave the B+, which I gave to Guardians Volume 2 as well. So, not top tier for me, but I'm going to put it in A tier, as it is very good. Just could have been a little bit better as a Black Widow movie, but a great spy movie all around. However, things do go up from here with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This is one that I was really looking forward to when it came out, and I love this movie. I'm putting it in S tier. It's, in my opinion, one of the better Marvel movies. Without a doubt, one of the best Marvel origin stories that's ever been put out. They actually did something new and refreshing with this movie. I mean, we finally have martial arts incorporated into the MCU. You have excellent, very intense sequences with this movie. Great characters, great arcs. Everybody in this movie makes sense. You have a great villain in the Mandarin. And that was the thing. I love the fact that we finally got to see the real Mandarin after how badly they butchered it in Iron Man 3. And so Shang-Chi, for me, gets an S tier. It's not a perfect movie. There's a few things I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of. But excellent movie nonetheless. So S tier for Shang-Chi. Now, Eternals is very interesting because this is one that when I first saw it, I was very conflicted and I kind of felt like I had to see it again. And I'm glad that I rewatched it for my review. I rewatch all these movies for these reviews, by the way. And upon rewatching, I like Eternals a lot more the second time than I did the first time. It has some issues. It has a lot of characters that we don't have enough time to spend with. And so it does feel convoluted at times. However, I'm willing to forgive that for the fact that, number one, the actors are great. I thought this cast was spectacular, and they all work very well as a team. That's number two. And so I think that they work well as a team kind of redeems it a little bit more. And I feel like it also opens a lot of opportunities for things we can see from the Eternals in the future. So I'm going to put Eternals in B. Not quite up here, but still very good, and I'm going to put it here. And also, upon rewatching it, the pacing is way better the second time than it was the first time. I think this is one of those movies where I feel like it takes multiple viewings because there's a lot to process, and you have to let it all sink in. So, I think Eternals is flawed, but still very good, so B tier for Eternals. Spider-Man No Way Home, I adored. If you guys saw my review for that, you guys saw that I basically just geeked out over it. Without a doubt, I'm putting this in the S tier. This is one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. I think with my Spider-Man movies, I'll talk about that more when I rank Spider-Man in the future. I think this maybe is my favorite one behind Spider-Man 2. I might have to recheck that, though. I'm not entirely certain. But this was everything that I wanted this movie to be. It lived up to expectations, and Spider-Man No Way Home is awesome. I thought this was an excellent movie. And this is the movie that I feel is the pinnacle of fan service done right. Because yes, it's a fan service movie, but it's actually a well-written, cohesive story with great characters, great moments, and it balances having everything so well. And they actually gave a second chance to Toby and Andrew. And so, man, this movie is awesome, and I can't wait to see all the multiversal possibilities in the future. So S tier for Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is interesting for me because this was one that the hype for it I felt was very high, where it was the hype was up here and the actual standards were here. And the thing is, though, is that a lot of people went into this expecting to be like a Endgame, No Way Home kind of event where we were going to see a whole bunch of cameos and stuff, and we didn't get that, although we did see some really cool multiversal stuff in it. This was one that thing where there was a lot more madness than multiverse. However, the madness is actually very well executed. And this is, in my opinion, not the best Marvel movie, but one of the best directed Marvel movies, as I thought Sam Raimi's direction was phenomenal. And so, I don't like Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness as much as the first one, but I still really like it nonetheless. And I feel like if you go into this with No Way Home Endgame expectations, you're not going to like it. But if you accept it for what it is and judge it for what it is, which is a horror thriller superhero movie, you're probably going to really enjoy it. And so for that, I'm going to put it in A tier. Not quite top tier, but still very, very good. I'm going to put that there. Now, Thor Love and Thunder. This is going to be a controversial one because I know there's a lot of people who do not like Thor Love and Thunder. And I know that it caused a lot of divisive views on the movie. There's a lot of divisive critical reception on it. And it's an interesting one. So if you guys saw my review for Thor: Love and Thunder, you guys know that for me personally, it fit my niche. I was definitely the target audience for this movie. I really liked the humor in it. Not all the humor works, and there's some things I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. But I still like Thor: Love and Thunder, and that's just my honest opinion. I'm not going to apologize for that. So I'm going to put it in A tier. I'm not going to put it in S tier because I think there's a few things that could have been a little bit better about it. But I still do like Thor: Love and Thunder. And if you guys can't tell by my ranking of the Thor movies, I have Ragnarok number 1. These two are Thor and Thor: Love and Thunder are kind of interchangeable for me, but I think I like the first one just a tad more. And then Thor: The Dark World is without doubt my least favorite, but I still like Thor: Love and Thunder, so I think A tier is fine for that. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is another S tier in my opinion. I think this one goes toe to toe with the first Black Panther. This is a beautiful movie in my opinion. It was a perfect send off for Chadwick while also kicking off a great new arc for Shuri and the other characters that I really loved in the first one. And even though I'm very sad Chadwick wasn't in it, I'm actually glad that we got to see these supporting characters that I loved in the first one have more to do in this one. And it really does show that like the Black Panther thing, I guess the Black Panther legacy will live beyond Chadwick. May he rest in peace. But man, it was great to see that Black Panther can still be great without Chadwick. And I thought Shuri was awesome in the movie. Angela Bassett gave an incredible performance. Lupita Nyong'o was awesome. And this is just a great movie in my opinion, and it was kind of like seeing the torch getting passed on from Chadwick to Shuri. I can't remember the actress who plays Shuri, my apologies. But man, this is a great movie, and this is in my opinion the best way to end off Phase 4. Phase 4 end on a high note with that beautiful movie. I think one of the best from last year. I'm putting it in S tier. And now we arrive to the new movie, my final one, the thing. We have the first one in Phase 5 with Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. I really enjoyed this movie. I won't talk spoilers about it because it's a new movie. But if you guys saw my review, you guys know that I really enjoyed it. And I cannot believe that it actually has a Rotten Critics score. And I know that fans enjoyed it a lot more, and that's all that matters. And I really, really liked Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. I don't think it's exactly a top tier, but I still really enjoy it. And I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think it's an excellent movie. I think it's a great way to start off Phase 5, and I can't wait to see what they do with it in the future. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to talk about it any more than that because it's a new movie, and I don't want to give away any spoilers. Okay, so that's everything. Now I'm going to switch some of these around. As I said, a lot of these spots are going to be tentative. So for S tier, controversial opinion, but because Captain America is my favorite superhero of all time, I like it slightly more than the first Iron Man movie. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm also going to put the first Avengers movie above the first Captain America movie, as I think that's the best one in Phase 1. And then Captain America the Winter Soldier, I like more than the first Captain America, so that's going to go there. And Guardians of the Galaxy, I feel like it's kind of interchangeable with the first Iron Man movie. I think that might stay there for now. Civil War is going to go above everything that we have ranked right here, because Civil War is incredible. And I think Doctor Strange... This is just my personal opinion. I think I'm going to rank it right there. It's not going to remain top 3 as I'm going to rank some more of these, but this is just one that's a personal favorite of mine, so I'm going to put that one there. And then Homecoming. I really love Homecoming. I know it's going to be controversial. I think I actually might put it here. Which is because I know I gave this one a lower rating than this one, and I gave it the same rating as this one and this one. Or actually, no, I gave this one a higher rating. Sorry. But Homecoming, this is a thing where I said ratings don't matter too much. This is just how I feel right now. It's one of the most rewatched movies. I really love Homecoming. I'll put that one there. And then I think I'm going to put Ragnarok. Do I want to put Ragnarok above Civil War? I might revisit that. I'm not sure. But I think Ragnarok is still a top tier movie for me. I really love that one. And I think Black Panther can stay there. I think that's a good spot for it. Infinity War goes up there. Endgame goes up here. That's definitely that. I do like Far From Home more than Homecoming, so I think that's going to go there. And then No Way Home I'm going to put here. I think upon rewatching it, it really solidifies how much I love No Way Home. I think this is a great top 5. I think I might as well go ahead and put Thor Ragnarok above Civil War. Even though I think Civil War is a better movie, I don't know. There's something about Thor Ragnarok that I really love, so I think that I'll just put that one there. And then I think Wakanda Forever, in my opinion, goes hand in hand with the first Black Panther. However, that being said, I do actually like Shang-Chi more than Black Panther, so I think I'll put Shang-Chi there. And I want to go look over this again. So I have this one, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. You know, I think I'll move with the Winter Soldier up a little bit. Yeah, I think, is this the top 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 11. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Iron Man, Guardians. You know, I think I'll bump up Guardians slightly over Iron Man. That's just a personal thing. I just love Guardians of the Galaxy. Then I think those can stay there. I just want to revisit this one more time. Yeah, no, I think the S tier is pretty good. A tier. Okay, I think I definitely like the first Thor more than Age of Ultron. Ant-Man, I think I'm gonna bump up slightly. I think it's slightly better structure than Age of Ultron. And I like Ant-Man and the Wasp more than that. And then Black Widow, I think I'll... do I want to put Black Widow above Volume 2? No, I think Volume 2 is better than Black Widow. And then Quantumania, I think I actually like more than the first Ant-Man, but not as much as Wasp. So I think I'll put this here. And then Multiverse of Madness, I think I'll put below Age of Ultron. And Thor Love and Thunder I'll put right here. I want to go through this real quick. Yeah, no, I think this is pretty good. Then the B tier, I think I'll put Iron Man 3 down here. Iron Man 2, yikes. I'm trying to think, how would I rank these two? I think the Incredible Hulk might be my favorite of these three. And then these two are kind of the same for me. But I think upon rewatching, I like Eternals slightly more. So I'll put Eternals right there. So I think, let's see, Hulk, Eternals, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And Thor the Dark World's my least favorite. And I don't even dislike it. I just think it's okay. So I think C tier is that. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good ranking. Remember, this is all just my personal taste. I know literally everyone will disagree with this, and you might have something higher. If you guys feel that maybe I rank something too high or too low, feel free to tell me why you personally disagree in the comments down below. Just don't be toxic about it. Remember, this is all personal taste. And, you know, this is just my opinion. If your opinion's different, and I'm pretty sure it is, that's fine. If you guys want to do this, I have a link to this in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I plan to do some more tier list updates in the future. I'll try and edit this to where it doesn't get too long. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified about my latest videos. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought. And be on the lookout for some more content, because I think I'll definitely do some more Marvel content in the future. I can't wait to do some more of this. I can't wait to update this tier list in the future and see if my opinions change. What are your thoughts on this tier list? Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, that's been it. Peace.